Morning, morning. On my way to loading bar for a co-working space. Another one, I know. This is up in North London again. It's close to where my friend's studio is that I have space in. But they're in Amsterdam. Anyway, yeah, it's a video game bar, pub place. Hosts events. Harvey does a game developer meet there, like once a month. That's pretty cool. And yeah, there's co-working spaces. Part of that. So I'm heading over, gonna check it out, see if I can be productive there or not. It's really just any hacks I can find to keep myself on track. Fight the old ADHD impulses. But while I'm on my way, I wanted to talk a bit about sort of the state. So I was talking to a friend who got laid off from Unity because obviously big layoffs there. And so many friends have been laid off in the last 2 years. Feels really funny because I think a lot of people assume I was laid off. And it's like, no, I'm just an idiot who decided to start a company in this huge downturn. I don't think I'm actually an idiot. I'm going to do a talk at Develop on why I think this is the right time. I'm going to try. I'm submitting this all. Why this was the right time for VR to start a studio. And I have some funds to do it for a while. So, But yeah, we were talking and like the long and short of it is the golden age of the industry in many ways, and by golden age I mean like the last 30-40 years, is coming to an end. It doesn't mean the games industry is coming to an end or anything. It just means, much like the film and video industry, film and music industry, we're going to face certain challenges because our growth is now going to be constrained roughly by GDP because we've reached market saturation. Previously, we've grown beyond GDP, which has been why we've been such a good area for creators, and we haven't had a back catalogue of content, so creators have had a lot more power. But now we've got a back catalogue of content, IP holders and investors have more power, players are much more likely to play older games than newer games, revenue, it's hard to bootstrap a thing. And this is kind of the new reality. And it means a lot of dynamics that were true 5 years ago, 10 years ago, just aren't true anymore. And, it hasn't been like an overnight thing. I think the COVID shock made it look like an overnight thing. But it has been happening. I've witnessed it happened over time. So yeah, it means that breaking into the industry is a lot harder. And if you look at the film and music industry, for example, I'd say 2 out of 3 people I know in the film industry who are successful have family in the industry or family friends in the industry growing up, and or are from an affluent background, and then that provides all kinds of opportunities. Sadly, I think we're going to see a similar thing happen to the games industry. It is what it is. We have to fight it as we can fight it. But I think games are in a better space than ever. But much how if you look at early Hollywood, the films were not as good as the films we get now. But the industry was a lot easier to break into, and yeah, it's a good thing that games are maturing. It just sucks for creators. It sucks for opportunities. It sucks for people breaking in and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, industry's mature, right? And the way our politics and our economics are set up, when an industry's mature, opportunity and social mobility go way, way down. And that's just one of those facts of life. It doesn't have to be like that. It's not a law of nature, but it is a law of our common economic policy. And so, have to acknowledge that. And it sounds brutal, but as I said yesterday, the reason I'm looking for a good co-working space is because the commercial endeavor of making video games is very different from the creative endeavor of making video games. So it doesn't mean commercial isn't creative, but it means as much of your energy is spent on funding, marketing, and productizing this thing you're making as is making the thing. And it's just an underappreciated fact, really. And so it's just really useful to have people around you who are tackling those problems, you know, filing taxes, applying for creative grants, you know, looking for professional talent. Because professional talent's always going to be different. It's, you know, it's going to be more skilled, but it's also going to be able to hit the ground running, know all the terminology, be less demanding, is the best way to express that. Yeah. On the creator side, now is definitely the time to unionize. Unionize as fast as you can. I mean, like, the Hollywood system, you know, unions is what kept Hollywood and even moderately accessible and even moderately, like, spread out with opportunity. You know, this is the time to unionize. Obviously, that doesn't apply so much to myself at the moment because I'm running a company. I am the problem. But, yeah, unions. Now is the time to do it. And yeah, if you're young and you're trying to break into the industry, there's advice I can give that's too long for this video, but the short of it is just don't look at the past and don't listen to people who haven't broken in the last 5 years, because the environment they've broken is not the environment you'll break in. Now, I remember when I first got into the industry, speaking to people who had no 3D art experience, walked in the door, worked as QA for a few months, and then started doing 3D art, and we were like an art director in a couple of years. It's because we just didn't have the skills. No one knew how to do 3D art, and, you know, we just needed, there was so much opportunity. That's just not the case anymore. So, yeah, let's see what this co-working space is like, huh? So that's not gonna work out. I went there. It was just a bar space that had converted to sort of co-working space, and most of the people there were between things or on a small indie project, which feels more like a hobby project, to be honest. So as I say, it's not the vibe I was looking for. But the other thing is, and I wish I'd handled this better. It was someone I recognized. I couldn't remember from where. And then, like, after sitting there for a while, I was like, oh, context, brain. And I was like, oh, this person actually hurt my wife kind of badly. And I was like, oh, oof. And so I was like, make a calm, quiet exit. And unfortunately, I couldn't keep my calm. And I did confront them before I left. Not the greatest, but they damaged her socially. And I don't feel like I can lend sort of my knowledge and share a space and, you know, give my sort of implicit endorsement to someone professionally, if I feel like that about them. But I didn't want to be like an arse about it. But as I said, I didn't handle this. Anyway, pointers. I'm heading back to my home office, continue work there. And yeah, that's kind of rules out the co-working space thing. You'll probably not hear me talk about the co-working search for a while, just because I don't want to prat on about the same problem. As I say, I find it useful. I'm looking for solutions because, as I say, I've got unmedicated ADHD stuff, and working from home, especially as the boss without structure and everything, it is a big challenge at the moment. It's a real big challenge, especially with sort of December and January and everything I've spoken about. So, with that said, yeah, it's all done. And yeah, it's a difficult conversation, the industry one. It really is. Because, like, one of the things that came up was we were talking about some of the layoffs and stuff, and someone was like, well, is anyone in the UK doing well? And I'm like, well, no, yeah, there are people doing well in the UK. And also, like, the misunderstanding of, like, reducing a studio down to core skeletal staff because you've got no money versus the studio closing down. Like, people who haven't dealt with the business side of it don't necessarily know the difference between administration and drawing things down to skeletal staff and maintaining core staff and stuff. And Yeah, as I say, good time to unionize, good time to sort of seek out your rights, bad time to be trying to break in. Yeah, I think a lot of sort of a resilience and kindness and, help people up, but then also be aware of who you're helping up and maybe a bit selective and maybe try direct your attention to the good people. Yeah, anyway, back to it. Hopefully you get more work done.